Welcome to Let's Go Live Writing Sprints. I have been running around today because the pool company people are here and they're here to replace a part. And I swear, I need to pick like a better time because last time I hosted on Saturday to kick off Camp NaNoWriMo, the neighborhood landscaping crew was here, and so it created like a lot of noise then. And so today, I scheduled this not knowing that the pool company people were going to be here to repair a part on my pool. So I say that because Bulldog, you may hear him barking, and I know this is supposed to be like a really chill, peaceful, right with me. But you may hear my man barking because one, he thinks the pool company people are really here for him and do it like they're besties. And the second thing is that he loves the Polaris, and so if that Polaris is running, he's running around chasing it, barking at it, because I guess he thinks that it's attacking us. Oh, and it just started to rain. So anyway, I had to turn on the lights because it got really, really dark in here, and I thought, well, I thought it was going to be a bright, sunny day. We could sit and write via the window and just have like a really peaceful day, but now it just started raining, so I'm sure we'll see the lighting will change and I don't know, just kind of add to our chill vibes. So as we did before, it's going to be 25 minutes of writing, and then we'll have like a little 5-minute get together, chit chat, see how your writing has gone for that writing sprint, and then we'll do another 25-minute writing sprint as well. And I don't know, I thought maybe y'all could see that, but I guess not. Maybe I should move it up here. Oh, okay, let me not break. Well, that doesn't, I don't know. Is that better? I don't know if anyone needs to actually see my fingertips moving. That may sound silly. Okay, maybe I just move it back there. Hopefully, I had it back there last time and it worked, I thought, pretty good. But, alrighty. Hopefully you can see that. Anyway, so what I hope to achieve in this very first writing sprint for today is I'm writing my 4th book. It's the 3rd in the Canyon City series, or the Canyon series, called Lot Lizard. And so I'm writing a scene of them kind of having to relocate because there are people after her. And so you'll know more about that when I finally release the book, which is supposed to be out next month, if I stay on track for Camp NaNoWriMo. So anyway, I hope those that are joining me, I hope you guys have a good writing sprint, good writing session, outlining, plotting, whatever it is that you're doing. And then if you are participating on Camp NaNoWriMo, if you want to connect and we can be camp buddies or campers together, you can find me at GiGi Meier, on there, and I would love to connect and be able to support you on your word count. I don't know what that is. You know, in NaNoWriMo, it's 50,000 words in 1 month, but camp is a lot more like laid back and chill. So I do have a goal of 50,000 and I hope to hit it. I'm on track. Well, I'm doing pretty good. I have 11,000 this week, but I'd really like to beat it. I'd really like to have my novel done by July 21st, if I can, and then I can kick it over to my editor who's dying to read it. So I love her, she's awesome. But anyway, I'm gonna put 25 minutes up, and then we will get to writing. So good luck to everybody. Okay, you can see the timer, it's not that bad. Okay, good. Hey, I'm back. So I don't know what just happened. There was a rainstorm that came through. It's pretty like aggressive, I guess you could say. And even though it showed that I had like 3 or 4 bars, it lost connectivity. And so anyway, on the first writing sprint, I think it kept pausing and coming in and out and all that with the connectivity. But hopefully we're back for good. So on the first writing sprint, I got 512 words because I was trying to go back and forth. Hey, Evie. I had to do a complete reset to try and get back on. So anyway, in the first writing sprint, I got 512 words written. Thank you, Evie. You're so sweet. Welcome back. And so now I'm going to try and get this other 25 minutes out, and then hopefully I'll find a better time that I can have these when it's not raining. Is that when we're doing a writing sprint? Yeah, so if you have time or if you're at lunch and you can get a few words down or plot or outline, I would love to write with you. Unless you're at work and you can't do that. But anyway, when I first started the first writing sprint, I had the pool company people here and my bulldog barking. And now with this one, literally my next door neighbor has her landscaping crew over there. So I don't know if y'all can hear it or not, but my like desire to have like a really chill writing sprint is working against me. Or I guess like the universe is working against me. I can write with you. Oh, good. So EB, what are you working on? Let me open my Google Docs. Oh, hey, do you want to join? I don't even know. It's kind of last minute. Maybe I should plan this in advance. We could write together. But I can invite you if you want. So I don't know if you can hear the lawn machines and then the rain. So hopefully I'll be able to maintain my connection. And then we can get some words down. Alrighty. I've got a couple of stories that I'm working on, but probably one that's a haunted story. Ooh, are you gonna release it for Halloween? That's what I wonder. And what does it do? I can't hear the lawn. Okay, good. Because they're literally like right outside my window. I can see the dude working as we speak. So EB, do you want to jump on with me? We can chat a little bit and then get to writing. I know it's kind of spontaneous. And actually, we'll be talking on your Let's Go Live later this month. I think it's this month that we booked it. Not this year. I gotta focus on the trilogy first. I know, sometimes, okay, so I've heard I can definitely jump on with you. Okay, I'll invite ya. Request to join. Okay, I just sent you an invite. Let me know if you get it. Actually, it'll appear on the screen if you get it. But yeah, so I'm kind of fascinated by AI. I don't know at all how it works. I don't know what program these people are using to help them write. Oh wait, as in join in the live. Yeah, EB, I totally caught you off guard. We can chat here, or you can join and be on screen. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. Okay, well, I'm not going to say that on the video. Okay, so I will take that as a graceful no. It didn't come through. Oh yeah, you can't go live on your desktop. I don't know. Instagram is so funny. I feel like, you know, it can be kind of janky. You know, they just launched new threads, and I'm like, don't launch new threads. Let us be able to go live from your desktop. And then YouTube, you can't go live from a mobile device unless you have like 1,000 subscribers. So I feel like everybody has their little like shtick to keep you from achieving what you want to achieve and do it how you want to do it. So anyway, so Evie, if you're ready and you can see my timer, we can write together, and whoever else wants to join us. Let me know if you're ready. And then we'll get 25 minutes in and then chat to see how much progress we made. I feel like the desktop, you can't do as much. Oh, I know, because sometimes it's handy to work from your desktop on Instagram, but you don't have all the features. And then you're back to the little screen, which if you have some older eyeballs like I do, I prefer the bigger screen and not the little ones. All right, I can definitely. Okay, so we will go ahead and get started. It's 25 minutes on the timer, and good luck. I hope it's a good writing session or writing sprint for you. All right, it's official. We started. Right. All right, we are all done. Okay, we are all done. 25 minutes. EB, how did you do? Ooh, that was a good one. Oh, great. I'm so glad to hear it. So, what were you writing? Were you writing in your trilogy, your next book? I think it's your second one, right? I got in 834 words, so that's good. I was kind of in the zone. I have a whole bunch of ideas, so after we finish up, I'm probably going to continue writing. Yeah, 834. How many words did you get in? And Evie, are you participating in NaNoWriMo, or do you just write whenever you have a free time or a moment? You got 567 words in, but had to read where I left off. I know, that was me last night. I have this app on my phone. It's called Timular, and it kind of keeps track of my time, or like a timesheet. And so I had started the timer, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna like smoke up these keys. It'll be great. 20 minutes goes by. I hadn't written a word, and it was because I was rereading the work and trying to get like back in the feel of it. I feel like it's double Dutch jump rope. If you've ever done that, you kind of have to get like a rhythm of the ropes before you can jump in, and that's why I feel like writing is sometimes. The trilogy is written, so this was for a different story. What? Yeah, the whole thing already written? I've participated in NaNoWriMo in the past, but not every year. Yeah, I am. I'm very, very on and off. I would do it, but I would actually register on the website, campnanowrimo.org, which was kind of stupid because you can, connect with other people. So then last November, I finally created a profile. I got my 50,000 words in, which I was super proud of myself. And then Camp Nano in April came along, but I was in the midst of Tomlin had launched in March, and then Takahashi had launched April 24th. And so it's kind of in the throes of those two back-to-back releases. So I did not participate in Camp in April. And I thought, I am for sure going to participate Camp July, because I need the accountability. I want to also, obviously meet other writers and support them in their journey to write. I do have a NaNoWriMo account. Oh, you've had it since 2012? Holy moly, I didn't know it was going on that long. That's 11 years. That's pretty cool though. I just started mine, last year. Oh, so you're writing the haunted story. But you haven't touched it in several months. I kind of like that though, when things kind of are left to the side to marinate. So I actually have 10 novels written. They were through like some really sad and dark times that I wrote them. And so it was a way for me to kind of just like process my emotions and deal with what I was going through in my life. And so even though I have 10, everybody's like, oh my gosh, you should resurrect those. It'd be so easy. You can, just whip them out, read them through, edit, publish to market. And I don't know if they'll ever see the light of day, because they're so personal, and when they're so raw, and when I go back and reread them, one, they're atrocious. So they would need a lot of work. But two, the emotion, the story, not the plot, but the story side is very emotional. And so I don't know if I want to visit that dark time of my life, because that's basically where it takes me. But anyway, when I go back and I read those, I've grown as an author, thankfully. And so maybe one day, maybe there is one in there. There's one series that'll resurrect. It's a paranormal romance. It's about angels and demons, and then the devil's son. And so I wrote, I think there was going to be 5 books. I think I had 3.5 written, but like I said, that's been years. So maybe I'll bring that one out and eventually publish it. I wasn't sure. Yeah, sometimes writing is just to help us get through our trauma. That is such a good point, because I like to write dark romance. I feel like everybody has trauma. We should not compare everyone's trauma. It's 100% real to you that it is to someone else. I know people are like, oh, I shouldn't feel this way because, you know, I wasn't, I don't know, beat up, or I wasn't, you know, a domestic violence victim. But I don't think that's true. I think there's trauma in all sorts of different levels that affects everybody. And you can't compare yours to another. It's 100% yours. It's something that you have to work through and heal through. And that takes time. So yeah, I wasn't sure about releasing my books back to back. I don't know. Okay, so I've done it. I don't know how I feel about it. I know that romance readers are voracious. So I feel like the second you write a book and you release it, they'll read that sucker in a day or over the weekend. And you're like, oh my gosh, it takes me so long to write these. And then you're just like continuing to read them. So rapid releases are really, really popular. Some of these romance authors are putting out a book a month. I don't know how. Maybe they are using AI. Maybe they are using a ghostwriter to supplement also, but I don't know how they do it. It's amazing to me that they can write and release so quickly. You know, maybe if I had a better, or if my writing discipline was more disciplined, I could get more books done. But I rapid released Tomlin and Takahashi just because they are 2 books, 1 story. And so I felt like I didn't want to leave like a huge gap in between, you know, the story starting and then the conclusion of it. And then Lot Lizard, which is the one that I'm trying to get finished up and release next month, is the book 3 in the Canyon series. So that's going to be what I call Grandma Hamilton, or Officer Hamilton, but Alexander Hamilton's story, who had played a really big role in Tomlin and Takahashi. So I don't think I could do that. Good stories require a lot of work. I agree. The story lives in my head for a while. For example, Hamilton's story I already knew while I was writing Tomlin's. Isla, I-S-L-A, Isla's story is already in my head as I'm writing Hamilton. And so it's just literally me trying to, I kind of like Officer Hamilton. I know, right? He's been tricky to write because he's such a good guy. And I normally write like bad guys or morally gray, or the ones that like, you're like, I hate this guy. But Hamilton's a good guy, like a little Boy Scout all the way around. And so I'm like, how am I going to make this dude spicy? I don't even know. So he's kind of been a challenge for me to get in my head. Oh yeah, the little girl, she is so Isla Frank with her little dog Anna. They're going to have the next book. And so I'm trying to advance the storyline. So then that way, you know, like she was 15 when she got picked up in Tomlin and Takahashi, those stories, those novels. And Hamilton, she's now going to be 16. I was wondering what happened with her too. Last I heard, she was getting adopted. She is, by the dads. And I say that because they call them both the dads, but it's confusing for them. So they have to figure out what's going to be their new way. That's exactly. Oh my gosh, Evie, you're so hilarious. That's exactly what I am planning on doing. She says, I think that nice guys can still be naughty in bed. And that is 1,000% what we're going to see with Hamilton. So you know, we have a little bit of saint and sinner in all of us, and it shows up somewhere. And so, because he has to be, you know, this model citizen, he's the son of the police chief, and he has to be perfect, basically. That little deviant side is going to show up in the bedroom. And so, I'm working on that right now. And then Isla's story, I have it all in my brain, like start to finish. I know what's going to happen. I know how it's going to end. And so if I could just, oh gosh, there was a way to like download your brain in the story and make it happen faster, I would totally do that. That's why I think we talked about AI and how some of these people are like, oh, I use AI to write my book. Someone's just like, can I just download what I have in my brain? And then the thing I don't know about is in Hamilton's book, he has this really feisty best friend named Rico. His name is Ricardo, and so Rico, and it's also Rico is the, I'm going to get this wrong. Rico is the acronym for the federal law that deals with like racketeering and drugs and gun trafficking, that kind of thing. So it kind of plays into, it's like an Easter egg that I planted in Hamilton's book because that's what they deal with. Yeah, I know, EB, people are using AI to write their books. I don't know. I heard it the other day. I'm in a program that Sarah Cannon, Cannon, runs, and she mentioned it. And I was like, what? People are using AI to write their books? Like, I don't know what programs. Apparently, there's like a plethora that will write your books for you. Yeah, AI does do some crazy things at times. And so I don't, okay, so I don't endorse it. I don't like it. I feel like, you know, there's a richness that comes when it's us and our word. However, I don't know any of these programs, so I don't know if you can like say, hey, write like Stephen King, and they'll put out a book that sounds like Stephen King, but it's in your words. I really don't know how that works. But anyway, so back to Rico. I don't know. Rico is feisty like Danny is feisty, so I don't know if I kind of want him to have his own book, but I have no idea what the storyline would be. And so I already have Hamilton's done in my brain. I have Isla's done in my brain, and then if Rico, and then people are asking for Lars, and so I have no idea what to do with Lars. He's such a sweetheart, so sweetheart, raising those sisters with his, you know, single mama. But I got nothing there. That's a dry well. So anyway, probably more than you guys wanted to know. But after that series, I have another one that's set. Well, it's like based on the cities. So there's one in Beaumont, Texas. There's one in Chicago. There's one in New York. There's two in New York. And anyway, so that will be the next series, but I have no idea what I'm going to call it. But that one I already have also in my brain, kind of rummaging around in there. I don't know either. At least you have some stories lined up in your head. And yes, to Lars, that gentle giant, he is. Oh my gosh. So Lars is based upon nobody. I do get some readers that DM me and they're like, oh my gosh, I love Lars. I have ideas for him. He needs to be a teacher. Oh, okay. Teacher in quotes. What does that mean? He could totally be a submissive. Okay, so he would be submissive and the woman would be dominant. Hmm. I have a story here, but it's probably not appropriate for IG. But in a weird sort of roundabout way, I ran into someone at the grocery store. I don't even know how we got on this conversation at the grocery store. No, he needs a teacher. Okay, EB, I'm going to need more. I'm going to need more of what you're talking about. But yeah, I ran into this person I knew, geez, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. Hadn't seen her since. She had gotten divorced. You know, I don't know why. We're in the frozen food section, and here she gets to talking about her exploration of her sexuality, you know, post-divorce, which happens a lot. People call it like a hoe phase, whatever. Um, but I got into where she was a female dominant, and I was just like, yeah, in the wild, in the wild, you know? So it's just strange, like when you think you know someone, and you see them, and then you're like, oh. So she said he needs someone to teach him how to please women. He seems eager to learn. Oh, okay. So not deviant, but yeah. I know because he's kind of my he's kind of an enigma, and he pays extra attention to detail. Yeah, he does, because he has, you know, all those little sisters, and he knows that women are sensitive, and so he's very, even though he's humongous, can basically, you know, be a lineman on any NFL team. He doesn't have the disposition for that. Oh my God, someone told me about a huge convention they went to. Oh, about that. Somehow my life has gone off the deep end. But, you know, as a romance writer, you write all of it, all kinds, right? Um, maybe was it a convention for exploring stuff? Smegsy time? Is that what you're thinking? So if I do write Lars's story, I'm going to need help because I have nothing there. He's such a sweetheart. So it would end up being, let's see, Hamilton is the third, Isla is the fourth, Rico would be the fifth, and then Lars would be the sixth. And then Eli and Ronald, they're kind of going to have a very large presence in Isla's book. So I think that way, that whole cast of characters ends up having their own book, and then everybody is done. And then I'll move on to a new cast of characters and a new scene. Okay, so you said, and Lars cares about women too. So not deviant, submissive, just listens to women, exploring a lot of stuff and their needs. Oh, I do like that. That is some good idea. I'm gonna really have to think about that because, like I said, I have these other two. Like Rico, he's just like Danny, but male version. So of course he's, you know, obnoxious. He's loud. He says whatever he wants. He shoots a shot with everybody because he's one of those that, like, if he was on a dating app, he's gonna suicide swipe. And if you don't know what that is, when you're on a dating app, you're just saying yes to everybody and seeing who it is because you're like, oh, it's a numbers game. So that kind of would be Rico's book because he's basically going to shoot a shot with everyone, even though he doesn't have a shot to shoot. But Lars would be tricky. Just think of a huge room with, okay, hold on. Just think of a huge room with a stage and booths with different topics happening. Oh, that was that convention you were talking about earlier. Yeah, I don't know how I came across this. I think having the hard and the soft would be cool in your series too. Yeah, because Tomlin is like a quiet strength. He's very aloof because of what he's been through. Danny is obviously very blunt, very outward, you know, the profanity and, you know, the threatening ways. Hamilton is, you know, more, I guess, good boy, Boy Scout. And then Molly, the woman he is saving is a lot lizard. So that's slang for truck stop prostitute. So that's the soft and hard. Isla is definitely going to be soft because of everything that she's went through with the domestic violence. And then she's going to probably find herself back in another domestic violence situation. And that's tragic because statistically, when I do my research, there's a church here in town that I'm a member of, and they do a lot of outreach to domestic violence, and they have a prison ministry and a homeless ministry. So I think that's the three main, I mean, they have tons of outreach ministry, but those are the three main ones that I've talked to them about. And domestic violence victims are more likely to be, you know, like fall into that same pattern again. It starts out good, but then unbeknownst to them, they're right back in it again. So, yeah. And then you have Danny, you can have Hamilton, and then you can have Rico, and then Lars. Lars would be softer, quiet, reserved, and very nurturing. Amy, you're giving me all sorts of great ideas. Thank you so much. Girl, I need to help you out. However, I can help you brainstorm your haunted series since your trilogy is already done. That's so sweet of you. It's kind of fascinating though when you talk about character development and personalities and trying to make these characters as real as possible or as real people are. You know, flawed. Their perspective is flawed. They're operating from limited information, and that's why I like to write single POVs because it's so reflective of life. I mean, oh my gosh, we would all love to know what everyone thinks, but we just don't have that. And so I think single POVs are fun because your character, who I write deep first person, is operating from, you know, a flawed perspective, only operating with the information that they have. Yeah, character development is tricky. I think some authors are really good at it. Like they'll have a, you know, series Bible or book Bible. They have character descriptions. They have an avatar. I was talking to Gabby Chamilar, and she does fantasy, urban fantasy. And she was saying she is a gamer, and there's a Dungeons and Dragons spreadsheet that she uses for character development. And so this spreadsheet has exactly like all of her characters and what they like and what they don't like and what they eat and what they don't eat and how addicted to their phone are they and how not. And I always find that fascinating because to me it seems like a lot of work that you have to put in on your characters to know them intimately to then be able to write them. But she has that spreadsheet, and I should get it from her. I always think about it, but I have yet to ask her for it. Yeah, I prefer single POV to more realistic, and readers can figure the story out with the characters. Yeah, that's what I like too. I've tried to read, well, no, let me go back. I tried to write third person. I'm horrible at it because one, I reveal things that a third person POV would not know. And then I have taken a stab at multiple POVs, and that's one of those 10 that I have written in the vaults that may or may not see the light of day. And I realized that I was like letting the cat out of the bag the whole time. So I figured I'm pretty terrible at writing multiple POVs. And also third person. I think third person isn't as intimate. It's more, I think, like a dictator. No, it's almost like the author's dictating what the characters are doing. I don't know. I think first person is much more intimate. Yeah, you don't have a character Bible. I don't know where my phone is at. But I have it on my phone, like in the notes section. It's so basic. I make them up as I go. Oh, okay. So you can get those Dungeons and Dragons spreadsheet as a free download online. Okay, I'm gonna have to Google that. Okay. Oh, fascinating. So you've done multiple POV and you prefer third person. Ah, interesting. Okay, tell me why. I always want to learn more. Um, I know I'm terrible at both. Uh, it doesn't mean I shouldn't do it. I mean, I should learn, obviously, to get better at my craft. But why do you prefer third person? I'm really interested. And they have different third persons too. I think there's like what? Third person, not omnipresent, but third person narrator. Oh gosh, see, this is why I probably shouldn't talk about this stuff because I don't know what I'm talking about. I think the reason why is that most romances and stories were about privileged people doing stuff I never would, and it actually makes me feel uncomfortable. Hmm. Is that's interesting. So does that mean, well, okay, does that mean kind of like the Billionaires series, right? Whenever there's billionaires, you can't really relate to that lifestyle or that privileged world. Um, Especially when most of the stories I read were Caucasian people doing stuff I could never. Oh, lack of representation. That makes sense now. And I'm hoping that we're getting more away from that, that we are getting more diverse writers. I think it's not where it needs to be for sure, but I think it's definitely starting. I think the awareness is there. I think more people are getting into it. But I do have to find there's not a whole lot of books written about people of color. I'm just trying to think of all the ones that tend to hit the romance bestsellers list. Yeah, a lack of representation in first person makes people feel disconnected. Oh, that's very, very true. Very true. So, and I don't like that. I find it to be kind of tricky because there's some people that are saying that, you know, you should stay in your own lane and you shouldn't write diverse characters. And then, you know, I think, well, that doesn't sound right either. You know, you want to be able to write diverse characters so long as they're not matching any kind of stereotype. That's really interesting. So, Evie, do you have your cast of characters? How diverse are they, and what does that look like in your books? I'd be kind of curious also what advice that you would give, because I know romance, or you had said stories about privileged people, mostly Caucasians, doing stuff you never could. How do we change that? That's what I wonder. How do you change it effectively and respectfully? Diversity is definitely a challenge. It is. You know, that's why I like Eli and Ronnie in my book. I wanted to represent them because Isla needed to know that she could trust men. I also I have a lot of friends in the gay community, and actually my sister is gay as well. And so she's kind of read over my books just to make sure. She's kind of my sensitivity reader. And then my very first book that I had out was read by my sister-in-law, who is both and Cuban, and I say Italian. She says it's Sicilian. And so she read over my stuff also as like a sensitivity reader, you know, just to make sure that I'm not having any sorts of stereotype, because that one was the Hispanic community that was represented in my very first book. And so it really helped that you can have people that you reach out to. And then I have several friends that when we go to church, it is there's a church here in town. Actually, it's right real close to me that is a diversity and inclusion. And so they're a really amazing church, very, very fun, very well represented. So I feel like I have a good outlet for my inner circle because my inner circle is so diverse, but also I like to have sensitivity readers. One of my really good friends is a beautiful, he's such a nice guy, African American gay guy, bisexual. Well, he says gay, but he says he can be bi for the right woman. He's so funny. But he reads a lot of my stuff just to make sure that I'm sensitive and I represent well. So my main character is always a Black woman. I think one of the reasons I never published before is because I didn't write with people like me at the forefront. Now I do. Interesting. I think one of the reasons I never published before is because I didn't write with people like me at the forefront. Evie, what changed your mind about that? I'm kind of curious what held you back from writing since there was no representation. Reaching out to people definitely does help. And you're right. I mean, I do that for a lot of different things. I have a really good friend who his daughter loves to help me with character development. And so she'll never read any of my books because they're so not appropriate, but she really loves to dig into why people do the things that they do. Um, she, her dad says she's asexual, and I think all dads would say that. She says she's non-binary, um, non-binary but bi. And so she is great at helping me write realistic characters and making sure that when I do write them, that they are justified. And, you know, that, I mean, there's still people in the end. We're not a whole lot different in some of our reactions or some of the ways that we approach situations. It's just our experiences are based on different things. They come from different places that our experiences have built us. And so that's something that she helps me work through also. She actually has helped me with the character Molly in Hamilton as to why she does the same things that she does. And one of the things that she came up with, because I was kind of struggling, like, why is Molly so wild? And I was trying to think of like some jarring or triggering event that made Molly that way. And she just came in very subtly and said apathy. You know, her parents were very apathetic to her existence in their world. So she keeps having to like level up and do wilder things in order to get their attention. And I thought that was such a subtle thing that she could say, but it was perfect for the development of Molly in the book, you know, that I'm writing now. So I've been writing for years. I have so many stories, but the main character was always a Caucasian person. But I read so much, and I actually started getting tired of reading stories without absolutely no person of color. I think that's very, very true. And I don't know if that's a byproduct of the traditional publishing market. I feel the indie market, oh geez, in the last like 15 years has been more accepting, or, you know, like I think with traditional publishing, there's always gatekeepers, right? But I don't know. And so they allow whatever they want to allow, or whatever the market will, you know, buy that they can make a profit on. But I don't know how that came about. Um, and I feel like self-publishing and indie authors, you can write whatever you want to write. And there's a market for that. Sometimes we don't think so, but you just have to find who your target audience is, and then you get the loyal readers. Let's see. So I finally started writing new stories in 2020 because thick black women like me deserve love too. Of course you do. We all deserve. Fundamentally, everybody wants to be accepted and loved. I mean, that's a basic, very basic human need and a human right for everybody. So that's so exciting, though, that you're writing that. And so I wonder, do you feel that there'll be more of that? When I went to a conference, the agent said they don't think, oh, what? Ooh, okay. She says, when I went to a conference, the agent said they just don't think people of color read. Oh my gosh, I am so, well, stunned, disgusted. Like, why, I don't even, that's just the dumbest thing I've heard. They believe the majority of the market is suburban, middle-aged women. Oh my gosh, no. Which would be Caucasian women. Wow. That's horrible. I'm just stunned because it's never occurred to me to divide people up, readers up, by their ethnicity or by their race. I always think I'm writing for two groups of people, romance, at least for me. I write for women in their 20s that are on a dating app. They have this dream ideal, right? They go home, they read all these books about this ideal guy, however that occurs, what their ideal guy is. Then they go on a dating app. They swipe, swipe, swipe. They try to find whoever that, fits that ideal guy. They go on a date. They get all, they get dressed up, they do their hair and makeup. They go on a date. It's a total bust. They come back home. They wash all that off. And who do they climb in bed with? Their boyfriend. And so to me, that's one of the groups that I write for. And that's inclusive of any kind of race, ethnicity, nationality. It's just what people are looking for. And so the second group I write for is those that have kind of lost romance. So they may be a married woman. Again, race, ethnicity, that kind of thing does not matter. They're married. Maybe they're raising kids. Maybe there's no romance. Maybe he works late nights. Maybe they both are, a dual income and they're exhausted coming Friday night. They're like, oh, it's date night, obligatory sex. And so what do? Or what does she do? Maybe she picks up a romance book to kind of help her, get in the mood, or kind of reads the romance book to bring the romance back into her life that normally doesn't have it, or that has, kind of died off. So again, those are, I feel like, my two target audiences that I've heard back from people. It's, again, very inclusive because it's really speaking to the fantasies of what women are looking for in real life that they can't find or that they don't have. She says they actually edit people of color out of books. Oh my gosh, that's astonishing. So EB, is that traditional publishers, or with this conference, is this like literary agents that told you all this horrible information? I just write to write, but I did notice years ago that my stories were also lacking in diversity, and I blame my upbringing in society. I'm over 40. Yeah. So when I became a voracious reader, there wasn't much out there in the 80s. Yeah. Okay, so I'm like you. I'm in that age group. And I don't even know how, when I think about, the group of models, it was literary agents at a huge conference that say that they edit people of color out. My gosh, that's horrible. And I grew up, okay, so I'm in Houston. We're very, very diverse. I mean, Houston is, because we're the poor, because we're international, because we have so much diverse industries here. It's oil and gas, it's medical, it's education. I mean, Houston is extremely diverse. So my high school was like we just didn't, you were segmented by not color or beliefs. It was like, the band kids, or you'd have the band kids, you'd have the drill team, you'd have the mathletes. And so we were more separated that way, but everybody just got along. Like, we didn't have the things that our children are facing today. And so maybe I was just, I don't know, maybe I was just ignorant to racism, because my school was so diverse. My graduating class had, I think, 1,500 kids, every religion, every nationality, every faith. And so because Houston is so diverse, it's all I ever known. But you're right, EB, like all the advertising, I was thinking about those supermodels, like Naomi Campbell was really the only one. And I mean, that woman is gorgeous. But you're right, not fairly represented in the 80s. My schooling was I could count on one hand how many people of color were in the entire school. Oh, wow. Is that a small town? Maybe that's why I just don't, maybe because my experience was so different. And I've always lived inner city. So if you're inner city Houston, or if you're inner city, we're the 4th largest city in the nation. Inner city, I mean, It's everybody. Everybody. Not a small town. You weren't in a small town, just in the suburbs. Oh, because the good schools were in the suburbs. Okay. So I'm trying to think. There's my parents moved here in '79. That year brought in a ton, like oil and gas. It was like they called it like a cattle town. It was an oil and gas town in 1979. And where my parents bought wasn't the suburbs. It just was, well, you couldn't afford inner city. I mean, it was expensive to be close to downtown Houston. So the school I went to, the school district is A-Leaf. If you look at the diversity numbers at A-Leaf, they are quite diverse and represented. So they always have been, more so now, that Houston continues to grow as much as it did, because geez, we're talking 30 years ago. So yeah, I don't know if we were in the good schools at the time. I just knew we couldn't afford to be, living downtown because it was so expensive with a family of 6. I decided that self-publishing is probably the best thing for me to do because I don't want to be pigeonholed into writing only romance. No, that's fair. I know that some people say you're supposed to have a different pen name when you write outside your genre. But then like Stephen King, James Patterson, Dean Koontz, they write outside their genres. So I don't know if you have to have a big enough name to do that in order to be able to keep it. But I always think like, isn't that kind of a hassle having to keep up 2 pen names, 2 social medias? Kind of sounds like double work. I like writing fantasy too, in the stories that don't necessarily have romance. I love reading romance. I'm sorry, I do that, but fantasy. And I feel like there are so many authors that blend the two together. I know that there are some that are definitely fantasy that almost dabble into sci-fi. Well, E.B. Hunter, he dabbles from horror to sci-fi to some paranormal, all under his one pen name. Right? It just seems like women have to have different pen names, like J.D. Robb and Nora Roberts. Yeah, that's true. I don't know of any woman that has done that. Well, maybe you could be the first one, Evie. I feel like the lines are being blurred more because of indie writers. We write what we want and not always what the market will bear. We don't write to the market. They say if you do that, you could be shortening your career or following trends. But there is a lot of fantasy writers that have a romance thread in their books, or they end up, the next series is all fantasy, or the next series is more romance heavy and a little bit of fantasy or paranormal. So I feel like those lines are much easier to blur. Yeah. And I tend to write, I love fantasy. I read a lot of fantasy. And so I tend to write more as a fantasy author with the world building and the details versus being a romance writer. Yeah, I also feel like my stories cross several genres. But I think that if you can deliver a richer experience, I don't think readers really care. Romance and fantasy are humongous genres, wide umbrellas, and then all these different subgenres underneath. I think you'll find your target audience that will read your books over and over, and they won't care that it crosses over different genres. Like the trilogy starts like a contemporary romance, but ends up a suspense by the end. I understand that, EB, because I started that in my debut novel. I was like, this is going to be a straight up romance. It ended up being a romantic suspense, more like action. And so I wrote what I thought. I had a developmental editor, and we went back and forth on several things. And she's like, you got to write it this way, or you got to take this out, or this can't happen. And I'm like, nope, it's staying in. And so that's why my contemporary romance turned into like that cartel, kidnap, hero, military romance, romantic suspense. I need my own genre. There's lots that blend and cross over. I think as long as you, in the blurb, put the expectation out there, readers will be somewhat forgiving. I have to tell you, Hamilton is going to end up being more romantic suspense than I thought. I thought I was just going to write this cute little, like, small town cop romance, and it's not that at all. It took like a sharp right turn into romantic suspense. Good for you, sticking to your own guns. Yeah, she's an amazing developmental editor, and she's going to be on my show. Let's Go Live here in August, and so you'll meet her. She works with a ton of different authors. Hi, my man. She works with a ton of different authors. I think she's booked out now till 2024, and but she's really, really good, and she's been doing it for 20 years, so she's read everything, seen everything, so I can't wait to read Hamilton. Yeah, that one's going to be good. It's obviously going to be dark, dealing with dark themes like always, but well, Evie, it's been so wonderful to be able to sit and write. I think you may hear my bulldog. He's over here breathing. That's what all that shuffling and breathing is right by the live. But it's been so wonderful getting to spend this time with you and to hang out and do our writing sprints. And so next time when I do them, I hope you'll be able to join and we could do it together. That'd be nice. A joint writing sprint. All righty. I dare him. I know he's so loud. He's right here. So yeah, he's like, Mom, stuff and things. We need to do stuff. That thing. Anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope that if you continue writing that it's successful and that the ideas come to you quickly and easily and that the words just fly through. Yeah, I caught the end. I'm usually around except the next 2 weeks. Well, hopefully the next 2 weeks will be good. So I wish you all the best in all your writing and whatever you have going on this weekend. All right. Ciao for now. Definitely put one on, Evie. Bye.